Hey, Kadie, how's
Hey
it
yo.
going? Thank you for doing this podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Uh, so you were telling me about this weird story that happened to you. Can you tell my listeners a
Yeah.
little bit about the story? This
Yeah,
is
for
a
sure.
weird, crazy, entertaining story. I just know pieces of it. But just sit back, grab a drink, and grab some popcorn and enjoy. All right, Kadie.
Cool. Okay, so I live in Long Beach and I've lived kind of on the same street for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I lived in like a studio, like right on the corner, kind of by like the Arabic Bible Church in Long Beach, and then there's like an alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just me and my cat living there. And so she's really needy and kind of bossy, and so she needs to be have the option. I mean, most cats are like this,
Yeah.
where they need the option to go inside and outside. So I left my door kind of cracked. I mean, I don't do that at night. Like I only do it during the day, you know. And I was up and around doing
Yeah.
stuff. So I hear a knock on my door. It's like 11 a.m. And I'm like, oh, it's probably one of my neighbors or a friend or something. Like, I definitely have people that like stop by unannounced,
Yeah.
or like a neighbor. And so I go look. Uh,
Do you constantly have people like just come by randomly, or do
Not
have to
constantly.
call? Do they have to call, or
Mostly they call.
yeah?
But I do have a lot of friends that live on my street, so I was like, it definitely wasn't out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna check and see who it is.
Mm,
Look outside. It's a guy that I've never seen before.
mm,
And it seems like he's like transient. I don't know if he is homeless or not.
yeah.
But he asked me. I was like, oh, hello. And he was like, oh, can I charge my phone?
Yeah.
And so that's, you think like, okay, you're a girl living alone.
Yeah. I'm always like that too when a random person comes up to me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like, I don't want to think the worst right away, you know?
Exactly.
Because there's always good in people. You don't know what they've been through, and like,
Totally. Yeah, and he just genuinely needed help.
yeah.
At least that's what,
Yeah.
and nothing bad did happen. Just want to preface. There's
Yeah.
no trigger warnings
Yeah,
for this story. It's just kind
yeah.
of bizarre.
Yeah.
So this guy is like, "Hey, can I charge my phone for 15 minutes?" And I think really quick, like, what's the safest thing to do? And I'm like, "Okay, I'll charge it for you, but you have to wait outside." And like the outside area by my place is, you can see it from the street. So like there's a bunch of people
Yeah.
kind of around.
Don't you feel awkward when you have to tell somebody, "Hey, I'll do this for you, but you gotta stay here"? Because don't you feel
Yeah.
like, man, I was so mean to that guy, or like,
Yeah.
I was just like,
No, definitely, because you want to treat like every human equally.
yeah, you don't want to
and
treat
with
them
respect.
different. You don't want to treat them like, oh, you're higher up than they are, or lower. You want to treat them with the
Right.
same dignity and respect.
Yeah, and so that's why. But then at the same time, I listen to a lot of like my favorite murder podcasts and like what's safe and what's
My
not
advice
safe.
is Law and Order.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, there's Law and Order as well. But okay, so I tell the guy, yes, I'll charge your phone.
Yeah.
You have to wait outside. And so I take his charger and phone and I plug it in like right by the door.
Yeah.
And then I like stand outside and I have like a patio set. And I just tell him like, oh, you can sit and chill. And I kind of ask him like what's up? What's your deal? What's your story? And he started kind of talking about music to me. And then he started to go in and out of like English and Portuguese. So like, maybe he was.
Maybe he had a illness.
Yeah, he could have had an illness. He could have been high or something.
Yeah.
He showed me some cool like. Pretty sure he showed me like some like drugs. Like he
Yeah.
had like this little
Yeah.
canister with some like
Yeah.
rocks in it.
Yeah.
So I was playing it cool though, and I'm like, all right, dude, your phone's almost charged. I'll give it to you in a sec. And so after 15 minutes, you know, we're kind of have a conversation in and out. I grab the phone and I'm like, hey, like, I'm like making sure he's cool. Like, do you have a place to stay tonight? Like, do you need any resources and stuff? And he's like, no, I have a place to stay and shit.
Yeah.
And so he asked, and he's like, oh, what's your name? And I'm like, oh, I'm Kadie. What's your name? And he goes, Lucifer. So
yeah, red flag.
Yeah. Okay, so I know already. I'm like, damn it, like, how am I gonna, my boyfriend's gonna be mad at me, you know, like helping out Lucifer with charging his phone. But I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to help him.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, I just thought it was like, oh, this is a cool story. And so I was like telling people at work. But then my boyfriend was texting me like, you need to be careful and stuff, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think if his name was like Bob or Joe or Greg, would they have felt as weird? You know?
I think they would have the same effect, but we'll kind of be passive of it because, you know, we think Bob and you know is a plain ordinary. You think of white suburbia or something like, you know, like it's
Kyle.
Kyle. Yeah. Or Karen.
Yeah. Karen and Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was like, oh, his name was Doug.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, okay, so that's just the first half of my story. Okay, so that move, like, a year goes by, and I actually move across the street. So I love my neighborhood, so I try to just, if I move, move to a different place within my street. So this place is like literally across the street, in the building across. And so I was working from home, you know, working for ECF, and we were remote for a while. So I have my door cracked again, but this is like my new place. Like my place is like a little bit harder to find. It's like not on the street, whereas my last place was like right on the street.
Where you're around a lot of people where they could see your house. And
yeah. Yeah, and I mean this is a really nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
I know like all my neighbors and stuff.
But I tend to think about neighborhoods, you know, even though how nice they look, especially nowadays, you still gotta have your guard up, regardless how they look.
Right.
You know, I mean, not have them all the way up, but like you gotta just be aware, you know.
For sure. Yeah, they talk about that in this really cool podcast called Gone South. And it's about this like the safest neighborhood ever, and then like someone like got stabbed. And so they were talking about how there's like this illusion of safety, like when there's like fences, gated community, stuff like that. But actually that's more dangerous because then your guard is down, because you feel like I'm in a quote unquote safe area.
And I think people look at you weird if you have more, like, the more security you have. And
yeah, it's like, why don't you trust your neighbors? I mean, I know every situation's different, obviously. Maybe you have to protect yourself.
Maybe you have some rowdy neighbors, because I'm attest to that. You know, I have them on both sides.
Yeah, and I'm a rowdy neighbor, so so sorry to my neighbors.
Yeah, my mom would have been called the cops on you. sorry to say. My mom was like a Karen, so.
No worries. What's your mom's name?
Maria.
Yeah. Oh, cute. Okay, so flash forward to I'm in my new place. Doors cracked open for my cat Nini. Like, she always goes in and out. And like my door faces like a bunch of other doors. Like, there's like grass in the middle. And I'm not that close to the street. And I'm on like a Zoom meeting for something, and I see like someone walking around like out front, and so I'm like, oh, maybe it's like one of my neighbors or something. So I just kind of like peek out, and I forgot to put my video off on my Zoom. Yeah. So this whole time, people are probably just seeing me going and looking at the door, and then like going outside. So anyway, I go outside and I'm like, hey, can I help you with something? Because it's this guy that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
This isn't the same guy from the first story.
Yeah.
He's totally different different looking everything.
Yeah.
And he's holding like a bunch of stuff, and also transient seeming because he's holding all his stuff with him. And so I'm like, hey, like, what's up? And he's like, can I charge my phone for 15 minutes? And I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh. What?
Okay. And so
that is like creepy.
Okay, yeah. So I tell him, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Kadie, is this another test? Like, should you not help a person? You know? But I do. I help him, and I say, sure, but you have to stay outside.
Yeah.
So I bring the phone in, finish my meeting, and I have the patio table now, you know, it's like outside my new place. And
that is so creepy though. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just
it's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, like same situation, different
place. I would understand if it was maybe the same guy and the same place I live.
But everything's different.
Yeah, everything's different guy.
That is creepy.
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit more to the story.
Yeah.
So he's sitting there. I charged the phone like for full because I had to finish my meeting anyway. And like I went inside and locked the door, so I didn't really sit with him. Mm-hmm. And had to finish the Zoom meeting or whatever. And then after I go outside and I like give him water, and like I just like get a bunch of food that I don't need from my kitchen and like hand it to him. And I'm like, dude, because he told me that he just got out of prison. And so I was like, dude, like, is there anything I can do for you? And he was like, nah. He's like, I usually just sleep on the beach. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, there's probably like phone numbers that you can look up if you want to try to get into a shelter or something. Yeah. And he's like, oh, well, I can give you my number if you want to like check in on me later. And I was like, okay. So I didn't have my phone with me.
Was he trying to hit on you a little
no.
bit? Like,
no, because no, luckily. It definitely seemed...
The reason why I'm asking that, because all the time I see guys, they always try to come in with a nice little story, and then they always try to...
The stories I just got out of prison.
Yeah. No, like, try to be vulnerable, and then try to hit you with some game. And
for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was aware of that. I'm like, I'm not going to give him my number.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take his number so that I can decide, you know, if I want to check in and be like, hey, are you safe? Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And so I go inside, get a piece of paper, and like just rip it off and like a pen, and I go back outside and I'm like, here, you can write down your name and number, and guess what he wrote down?
What?
Lucifer.
No shit.
Yep, and then his phone number underneath it.
That's so fucking crazy.
I know. So I saw this and I'm like freaked out. I'm like, did someone tell you to come here? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, did someone tell, like he knew that guy? Maybe. I was thinking maybe on the street they're like, oh, there's this really nice white girl that lives in this door.
Oh my God, that would creep
or
me
neighborhood.
out.
But it's a different place.
Yeah.
It's like
but it's like, are they watching you now? Like, I'd be so freaked out.
I don't think he would. I think this is just a weird coincidence because I asked him, I'm like, honestly, dude, I'm like,
I mean, I don't know how I would take that.
I was like, what the heck? This is like Twilight Zone right now. And so, because when he came up, he like told me his name was Jay. He was like, hey, I'm Jay, and can you charge my phone? And I was like, yeah. And so then when I saw him write down Lucifer, I was like, why'd you tell me your name was Jay? And he was like, oh, well, Lucifer is my street name. And I was like, do you realize that someone named Lucifer asked me the same exact questions at my last place?
Maybe that was his street name.
Exactly. And then the guy was like, well, was he like really, really short or something? And I was like, no. Like, as if he knew another Lucifer on the street. And he was like, oh, that's weird.
Dude, that's creepy.
It's super creepy.
I mean, I'm sorry to you act like this, you know. I don't mean to freak you out, but it's just like, damn.
Yeah, it's super sketch. So now I like, luckily, I don't know, that whole illusion of safety thing is like, I need to keep in mind. But my cat still like won't shut the fuck up.
See, that's
unless I let her out.
see, that's a problem with people like me and you. Like, we we are so kind. We can let the most interesting, but also the most weirdest people. Like,
For sure,
we attract them.
Yeah.
Like, I attracted women
That were
that
weird.
just come up to me and just ask me random questions. Like, you know, I don't want to be too explicit, but like,
Just like inappropriate questions. and
yeah,
stuff.
I'm like, seriously, and they'll just straight up ask me at the bus stop. And it's like, how do you want me to respond to it? If I respond to it in a negative way, or you're gonna come at me like, why'd you talk like that, or why did you act like that, or did you, you know? I'm like,
Yeah, it's weird to know just weird social interactions, you know,
yeah.
are I guess a part of life, and it's just
Or
you don't
like-
really get used to it. I
Or
guess.
like one time, I seen this one lady. It was like 3 years ago. It was Christmas time, and I had like a wad of cash on me. Okay, I went to the store to get something from 7-Eleven. This lady comes up. I look at her. She ends up being homeless. I felt bad. It was near Christmas time. I was like, okay, I spotted her 20. I was like, here you go.
Damn, 20 is generous. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's Christmas time, But then she starts telling me a story about her kid and blah, blah, blah. Can you buy me a bus ticket? Can you buy me this? Can you buy me that? I'm like, I think it's because she saw that big old wad in my.
Come on, you know better
Yeah,
than flashing it. You got to put ones on the outside.
I guess. I don't carry that much cash on me. It's just like, but it's just to the point where sometimes I just don't feel like I want to help people. But there's other times too where I'll just be like, okay, I'll help you out, and then like I bought this person a drink, or I gave this person money for a drink, and I was like, but I say under my breath, but you ain't gonna buy a drink with this. He ends up hearing me. I'm like, oh shit. He's like, I'm gonna come back with a drink. He literally comes back, shows me the drink, tells me thank you.
What drink was it?
It was a
curious.
Pepsi.
Just curious.
It was a Pepsi. Pepsi.
Cool.
Pepsi. He actually said, look, see? I'm like, okay. Like, no, but see, it's like some people could be trusting, but it's just like you don't know half the time what you're gonna do.
Right. And you don't want to be an asshole and just assume that everyone else is an asshole.
Yeah.
You know?
And then I've also had times where I'll be on the bus, and I'll tell you this one story. I was waiting for the bus to go back to San Pedro, and this one guy said, I'm gonna kill you.
What the fuck?
I'm gonna hurt you, and I'm gonna F you up. And I said, okay, what did I do? I didn't do nothing. I'm gonna F you up. No. And so I go on the bus. I tell the bus driver, hey, there's this guy. He's gonna come on the bus. He's already threatening that he was gonna do something to me. So just have my back. But luckily he got on the bus. No drama, no bullshit. Just random stuff like that. Like, I don't understand. Like.
Yeah.
But like I said in the beginning, like it could be like illness.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
Or he's just on a bomb one. Like,
Yeah. Or a combination of both. It could be just like, it's just super unfortunate, like, the amount of people that need help right now.
Yeah, but you don't know who to trust and who's real and who's like just trying to take advantage of you. Because I've had that many times where people take advantage of me.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's just like, okay, what are my boundaries, or what am I willing to do to help people, and then what am I willing to do to keep myself safe as well.
And you're such a kind and gentle person. Same goes with me. I try to be that way too, but also I gotta have my guard up, and it's just hard
For real.
to separate that sometimes, you know.
Big time.
But thanks a lot, Kadie. I appreciate this interview. It was awesome.
Course,
I enjoyed it.
Oh, hopefully I won't have another visit
Hopefully not.
from Lucifer.
Yeah,
so.
man. There's gonna be a part 2. There has to be a part 2.
I hope not.
I'm hoping not either. But like, you know, like if there's a part 2, you will. We will.
I will definitely let you know.
You will tell me the story. But remember, you guys, you gotta be nice out there with people. You know, show some love, show some compassion, but also have your antennas up a little bit. You know, you never know. But anyways, guys, this is Rolling with Gabe. I'm out.
Peace out.